Hello and welcome to this Info Security Magazine webinar. My name's James Coker, Deputy Editor at Info Security Magazine, and I'll be moderating this afternoon's Talking Tactics webinar, which is sponsored by G-Corps. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to be discussing the topic, how to navigate the evolving DDoS attack landscape. Before I introduce you to our presenter for this session, there's just a couple of quick housekeeping points to make. Please do use the submit a question function to let us know of any questions you might have for our speaker, and we'll do our best to answer those later on in the session. And a quick note about CPE credits. This webcast qualifies listeners for half a CPE credit based on a minimum attendance time of 25 minutes. Once you've done that, you can download your certificate from your Info Security Magazine account and submit it, and further instructions can be found on the event platform. Please note certificates take 48 hours to be processed and will be made available to download the following day. So before we kick on with the session, I'd just like to introduce our speaker for today. We have Andrey Slastenov, who is Head of Security at G-Corps. So it's great to have Andrey with us today. Before I hand over to Andrey for the presentation, I'm just going to launch an audience poll question, which will be running during the first part of the webinar. So the question is, has your organization been impacted by a DDoS attack in the past year? And the options are A, yes, we've experienced systems being taken offline on multiple occasions due to DDoS. B, yes, once or twice. C, no, or D, not sure. So it'd be very interesting to get your thoughts on that. But without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Andrey for the presentation for the session. Over to you, Andrey.
Okay, thank you, James, for your introduction. First, let me start with a few words about who we are. So G-Corps is an international leader in AI, public cloud, edge computing, content delivery, hosting, and security solutions. We manage a global infrastructure designed to provide enterprise-level businesses with the first-class edge and cloud-based services. And today, we are going to dive into increasingly critical aspect of cybersecurity. We will talk about the modern DDoS attack threats. And we will explore the latest trends, the potential impact, and the strategies to mitigate their threats efficiently. So, according to the recent international risk report, cyber incidents continue to rank first among the risks and threats to business. The number of devices connected to internet is still growing. Internet is evolving every day, and any of the devices could be potentially hacked, especially some IoT devices, which is most vulnerable for the security risks, and become part of botnet. The more devices, the greater the potential volume of DDoS attacks globally. So, staying ahead in defense trends and learning about the cybersecurity to better prepare for new threats is one of the key components to ensure the effective protection against cyber risks. So, before we begin, let's start with the short definition of what is a DDoS attack. DDoS, or in another word, distributed denial of service attacks, are designed to overwhelm a system resources by different ways, making it unavailable to legitimate users. These attacks can shut down websites, services, networks, leading to the significant downtime and loss of potential profit or even customers. By flooding a target with massive amount of traffic from multiple sources, attackers can cause the havoc on operations and services. So, talking about the evolution of the DDoS attack, G-Corps is monitoring the security landscape. And recently, we observed a concerning pattern. DDoS attacks are getting more complex and bigger. Attacks have hit a new highs, now measured in terabits per second. This shows the attackers are getting more skilled and the type of cyber threats is changing. The power of these attacks has grown from 300 gigabit per second, which we observed in 2021, to 1.6 terabyte per second by the end of 2023. We say that it starts a new era of significant volumetric attack risks. So, in word of DDoS threats, it's crucial to understand the diversity of attack vectors. The DDoS attacks usually comes in various forms, each presenting unique challenges for defenses and bring us to different scale of the risk. Volumetric attacks, for example, aim to consume the bandwidth, essentially overloading the pipes or links that deliver content to users, leading to the slowdowns or total inaccessible of the networks and services. Connection-based attacks focus on exhausting server resources, targeting the protocol part of communications like our TCP protocol. While application layer attacks are even more challenging, aiming directly at applications packets to disturb the specific services or functions, or even in some cases, just provide the unauthorized access to the attacker. From our observation in the second half of 2023, UDP floods continue to dominate, presenting something about 62% of DDoS attacks. TCP flood and ICMP attacks also remain popular at 16% and 12%. All other DDoS attack types, including SYN, SYNAC flood, RST flood, accounting for the less than 10% combined. While some attackers may use their more sophisticated approach, the majority just focus it on delivering the huge packet of traffic volume to take down the servers and infrastructure. So, no industry is immune to DDoS attack. From finance to healthcare, education to e-commerce, attackers target any vulnerable entity. This significantly widespread the risk highlights the importance of the complex cybersecurity measures across all the domains. The most targeted industries in the second half of 2023 highlights the impact of DDoS attacks across different sectors. The gaming industry remains the most affected, presenting 46% of the attacks. The financial sector, including banks and gambling services, come in the second place with 22%. And telecommunications, infrastructure providers, and computer software companies take something about 28% and also significantly targeted. So let me show you some examples of recent DDoS attacks that we faced in the late of 2023. One of the attack was against the gaming company and was conducted using the modern botnet, reaching up to something about 1.6 terabit per second. It had the power to overwhelm the company servers, or even if to be true, the whole data center with the traffic, effectively taking down them offline. The approach that attacker use involves using random UDP source ports, which mean that attacker aiming to evade the filtering mechanism. Moreover, they also conceal their identity by forging source IP addresses, which is pretty much often with UDP attacks. The protection, which was efficient in this case, was based on the pattern recognition mechanism, which learned the behavior and structure of the valid traffic patterns and block the attacks from the first packet with zero impact to the customer traffic. And we will talk about the pattern recognition mechanism a little bit later. So the next case that I want to present, it's pretty much different from the previous one. The attacker attempts to exploit TCP protocol with a mix of SYN flood and other type of TCP traffic. It's to be true by the combination of the different flags in the TCP traffic. And as you may know, or someone of you know, in SYN flood attacks, several SYN packets are delivered to the target server without ACK packet. That means that servers generate a half open connection for each SYN packet, and finally, if successful, the server will ultimately run out of resources and stop accepting the new connections. In some cases, even drop the existing one. What is exciting about this attack is that it spanned almost 9 hours. And to mitigate this attack, we use our TCP challenge countermeasure, which try to challenge each part of the TCP connection to pass additional check to identify the valid request from malicious one. The countermeasure works pretty much transparent for the customer and align with the latest TCP protocol definition, and works pretty much effectively. So the modern techniques used in DDoS attacks have evolved significantly, with a huge increase in attacks from the botnets. Botnets is a distributed network of devices infected with malicious software and controlled as a group without usually the owner knowledge. The botnet are often composed of IoT device because that device is most vulnerable one, including those that's unpatched, unattended, or even misconfigured. So it's an easy target for any malicious software. Such devices are prime target for cyber criminals looking to enhance their botnet forces for DDoS attacks. And usually, as I say, this primarily because of fact that IoT devices, for example, I think everyone have electric meters or thermostats which can provide the data to the cloud and connect it to the internet. So usually that kind of devices receive the less attention in terms of the protection and security, making them easy to exploit. This leads that even ordinary devices, like the simplest one, can be secretly added to the botnet, making the botnet stronger and even more dangerous. This shows how important it is for us to pay more attention and improve security for all devices connected to the internet, not just a computer and phones. So usually what we observe that a lot of IoT devices just using the default passwords and can be easily brute forced and including into the botnet. So what the basic mitigation strategy that's usually used by security providers? The first, of course, is dynamic traffic shaping. So the traffic rates are dynamically adjusted to reduce attack impact and maintain the vital services continuity. Usually, we use the adaptive thresholds and rate restriction prioritize the legitimate traffic over the malicious one. The second instrument that we have in our portfolio, we have anomaly detection. So we have some machine learning models that analyze the patterns to detect the anomalies and suspect traffic, then automatically redirected or isolated for further security checks. And to protect our customers for even more sophisticated attacks, which trying to mimic the real traffic, we use the regular expression filters. So what they do, they just based at the analysis that what data is coming to us inside the packet. So we can build dynamic filters, like filters crafted from regular expression, selectively block harmful payload without disturbing the legitimate traffic. Or from opposite way, we can build the dynamic filters which can pass only legitimate traffic and block the rest of the traffic, which usually is more effective. So that filter is finely tuned to maintain protection efficiently and minimize the false positives. And of course, collaborative threat intelligence. I'm just talking about the threat intelligence sharing platforms. So our company actively engaged in the exchange of threat intelligence with industry peers. So the collective insight and real-time threat feeds guide G-Core security techniques, allowing a rapid response to development attack vectors. And of course, we sharing our observation about our observation of DDoS attack threats with the rest of the people. Okay, sorry. So talking about best practice of for DDoS defense. Let me share the few of them. The first is implementing the layered defense. So we combine network application and cloud-based security measures for comprehensive defense against DDoS attacks. So we do not rely on the single protection mechanism. Always deploy the traffic filtering. So even if you think that the service which is accessible through the internet cannot be attacked by some way because it's not well known on the internet, or you do not provide this service to anyone. So usually you should filter as much as possible. Just open the ports which need to be really open. The third point is utilize the web application security. So the web application usually most vulnerable part of the organization infrastructure. And when we're talking about the web security, every company now have website, and usually it's most visible part of the company in internet. So some of the company may not have any other services presented on the internet, but only website. And website can be the major revenue generator for that kind of companies. And of course, if you decide to build your own protection infrastructure, is better to use distributed approach for the protection. So distribute legitimate traffic across the multiple servers to mitigate the impact of DDoS attacks and ensure the availability of the services. So in G-Core, our cleaning platform, for example, integrated with the CDN infrastructure, which provides us almost unlimited capacity for the traffic filtering. So we have a lot of CDN nodes worldwide, and each node can work as the security filter, as the DDoS protection filter. So we can protect not only web traffic by our distributed CDN infrastructure, but also we can protect our customers from DDoS attacks of which targeted not related to the web traffic. And of course, the last one is invest in the cloud-based DDoS protection. So it's pretty clear that it's useless to scale your own infrastructure to hundreds of gigabits to protect your assets. Usually, your infrastructure should be as capable as possible to provide the services to your customers. And every year, as I showed on the previous slides, security landscape is changing, and you will need to invest into the infrastructure again and again as those attacks are evolving. So more efficient to adopt the scalable, resilient cloud-based services designed to absorb and mitigate large-scale DDoS attacks. So finally, future trends in DDoS attacks. As we look to the future, DDoS attacks are expected to become even more sophisticated. Emerging technologies like IoT provide the new vectors for attacks, and continuous evolution in DDoS strategies is one of important things that we should do every year. The power of attacks continue to grow using the botnets and amplification attacks. for botnets is pretty clear. The amount of devices on the internet is growing. And G-Core mission is to empower our customers with actionable intelligence, with DDoS protection, and help to protect from the most common threats. The sharing the information about cyber threats is also very important in stopping DDoS attacks. So all organizations can access the wide range of information on cyber threats. They can better protect themselves against the potential attacks risks from keeping finding new ways to mitigate them. As attacks gets more complex, the sharing the information will become even more important in 2024. So, so you can find our insights about the recent threat landscape, which can help fine-tune your mitigation strategy in our G-Core radar report. So there we provide more information about what we observed in the last months of 2023 and provide more insight on the potential threats. And in conclusion, the threats of DDoS attacks is the big challenge that require us to contain the attention and action. So by staying informed, implementing the robust defense strategies, and collaborate, we can protect our digital assets against these threats. So let's commit to a proactive stance in cybersecurity, ensuring the safety and resilience of our digital world. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Andrey. Really interesting presentation there on some of the trends we're seeing around DDoS attacks and just how damaging this attack vector is becoming and is at the moment. I just wanted to take a quick look at the responses to our poll question, which as a reminder was, has your organization been impacted by a DDoS attack in the past year? So the responses we got to this were 7% said, yes, we've experienced systems being taken offline on multiple occasions. 46% said once or twice. 15% said no. And interestingly, 30% were not sure. Andrey, just wondering what your kind of initial thoughts were on those results. Is that what you might expect to see from organizations?
What we let's say like this, that most of the organizations who never face DDoS attack, they usually even doesn't know what is this. So, and they not require the DDoS protection. And even if you just in the conversation with such enterprises, even the big enterprises, they usually not put too much concerns on that in case if they don't have a compliance rules inside the company regarding to this. Usually the people starts to concern as the first DDoS attack take place. That's why I do believe that most of the people even don't know if there was attack, but eventually you will know. As soon as it will happens, everything stops, your service will be shut down, or your website will stop to open, your services that you provide to your customers will be not responsible. So usually you will always cannot just miss this thing.
No. Would you say it ever might get confused with like a general outage at times, or does that not happen in your experience?
Well, let's say that usually DDoS leads to general outage, and if to be sure, we have a lot of cases, which let's say like this, that most of the customers comes to us after the big general outage. So they complain, they asking for help. Of course, we can just say that it's not always the whole organization was shut down, but usually attackers trying to target the critical resources of the company because it's always valuable for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Andrey. We've had a question come in from the audience, so I'll just put that to you if that's okay.
Yeah.
So the audience member has asked, considering the increasing sophistication of DDoS attacks, how do you recommend balancing between investing in defensive measures and ensuring operational efficiency?
Well, if we just be close to the topic regarding DDoS attacks, in the modern world, it's almost impossible to protect your assets by yourself. So you can just invest a lot by purchasing the most sophisticated DDoS protection system, which you will install on your premise. But finally, DDoS attacks exhaust your uplinks, your connection to the internet, and that attack even may not reach your DDoS protection system, your mitigation system. So the common trend that we have regarding DDoS, that most of our customers, even some who use on-premise solution, like for example Arbor, they are moving into the cloud-related solution. You even talking about our solution, we are first of all content provider, so we provide in the CDN, hosting services, and we have a lot of capacity. That's why DDoS protection business is so beneficial for us.
Thank you, Andrey. That's a really good response to that. I also wanted to ask you, in the presentation, you discussed the importance of collaborative threat intelligence to be able to keep up with the evolving DDoS attack techniques. I was wondering, from your perspective, how can we encourage the cybersecurity industry to kind of exchange threat intelligence around DDoS better and facilitate this process?
Well, I think that data exchange is mutually beneficial process and allow for effective prevention of attacks and at the early stage. That's the main thing. As soon as you informed about the new attack vector, you can implement the security measures in advance. So you are just doing the things proactively, not reactively. And I think that the main problem why is not so quite popular is in regulating that process from legal standpoint. However, on the other hand, there are several examples of such platform where you can exchange of your threats which detected by your attack prevention systems, like for example MISP. So it's open source threat intelligence platform, which allow for different organizations to exchange of such data. So if someone really interested, you can just check on the internet to get more info on this topic.
Brilliant. Thank you, Andrey. And we're quite close to the end of the session, but I just wanted to ask you another quick question, if I may. So you spoke also in the presentation about the potential future evolution of DDoS attacks. So I just wanted to see from what you're seeing at GCore, to what extent are we seeing threat actors kind of using DDoS to extort victims as perhaps a kind of alternative to ransomware? And do you think this the use of the vector in this way will increase in the future?
Well, to be true, the protection against DDoS attacks is not a simple task. And one of the reasons that DDoS looks pretty, let's say, similar as the normal traffic. And instead of the ransomware, which can be detected by antivirus software, when we're trying to detect DDoS, we're talking more about behavioral analysis than just analysis of each packet. And yeah, so from the recent cases that we have, of course, not all our customers wish to talk about the ransomware. So, you know, it's pretty harmful topic for them. But every year we see more and more cases when someone just trying to steal the money by ransom the networks, servers, and just asking for the money to stop this, to stop the DDoS attack. So by the end of 2023, there was the case of one gaming company when they was attacked by DDoS, and the attacker asked to pay some money to just stop this. But usually it doesn't work. So even if you even pay, that information will be spread. So everyone in the closed community will know that company X paid the money, and you will be attacked again, definitely, to be sure. But maybe by other attacker, not the same one for which you pay the money, to which you pay the money.
That's really interesting, and yet definitely DDoS is something to keep an eye on. Its continued evolution going forward. I'm afraid that's all we got time for today, but a massive thank you to Andrey for your insights and your time this afternoon. Really appreciate it. A big thank you as well to GCore for sponsoring this webinar. For details on upcoming Info Security Magazine webinars, please see our website. And remember, you can rate the session, tell us what you liked or areas you'd like us to improve upon. But with that, thank you everyone for listening today. And this session's now ending. Thank you.
Thank you.